Until recently, it was thought that Matt Groening had completely recovered from what was making him acting so strangely during the Dead Bart incident and that it affected his normal life afterward. Recent claim from the employee who found the Dead Bart video, however, indicate that Matt Groening went through another similar 10 years ago. It was the summer of 1999, and Futurama had recently premiered. Matt was working on two shows now and had started showing signs of stress. When he announced that he was working on another episode, it would be 100% of his own writing. This terrified some of the staff who worked on both shows, but they were hesitant to bring up Dead Bart, and Futurama crew saw no reason to reject Matt's idea. An early version of it was made, and the employee who found Dead Bart managed to make a digital copy of this as well. The episode was called Not Long Enough. The episode started with Fry, Leah, and Bender making a delivery for Planet Express. They never revealed exactly what they were delivering or what they were going, and everyone seemed to be upset for an unexplained event that was happening. Leah, and Bender were angry at Fry, who kept apologizing but clearly rejected by his friend. They eventually reached a planet that seemed to only have one house surrounded by empty, desolate fields on all sides. They knocked the door, and the grotesque alien that seemed to be very old answered. He took the box without a word. He opened it, took a knife out, and stabbed himself. The Planet Express crew didn't seem to find this odd or surprising. They simply left the body on the ground and walked back to their ships in silence. The next scene was the Planet Express ship flying through space. A dissonant piece of music made of extremely loud instruments playing a very slow tune in the background while the ship flew through an empty black space. They finally reached Earth and landed in deserted New York. Fry started apologizing again as they walked through the empty streets. There were no signs of Planet Express buildings. While Leela and Bender glared at him in silence, Fry gave up and separated from his friends. He walked for quite a while, never encountering a single person. He reached the Cyronics building where he'd been frozen. Looked inside and began to cry. The crying went on for a few minutes before he entered the building. Fry went in one of the tubes, set the timer on it at a huge number with more zeros than I could count, and then locked himself in. The screen faded out, and when it came back in, the view was entirely on Fry. The machine must have partially stopped working as parts of Fry were decaying. Bone was poking out of the skin several paces. Fry mumbled, "It's what I deserve," and climbed out of the freezing device. He was in a surreal, undescribable place, but there were a huge variety of shapes and colors. But it wasn't bright or fanciful. It was closer to that to the faint colors if you close your eyes too hard. Fry started walking, the surreal void he was in seeming to go on and on. He kept walking for a few minutes. The colors kept making shapes you could make out, but none of them were pleasant. After his long walk, Fry found a picture on the ground. It was completely out of place in his new environment. It looks like something drawn in the normal Futurama style. It was a photo of himself, Leela, and Bender. Fry looked at it for a few seconds before beginning to cry again. The picture soon turned to dust, and Fry continued walking. The views zoomed out until Fry couldn't be seen, until the colors all blended together and turned to solid black. The view continued to zoom out and see what the black was a tiny fragment of the pupil in Fry's eye. His frozen body had fallen out of the freezer unit and was lying in an abandoned room. He was drawn in the same hyper-realistic as Bart's corpse from the Simpsons episode Dead Bart. Bender and Leela walked in the room as they saw what Fry done to himself, and Leela said, "He got what he deserved." She checked on her she checked her watch and said, "Looks like we need to leave our next delivery." She took a knife out of her pocket, put it in a plain cardboard box, and headed to the ship.